Hello and welcome to a new season of Trojans Live right here on AM 790 KBC and the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside the All-American Sean Cody and our team reporter Keely Yor stepping in. Max Brown will be with us throughout the season as well, but Keely, our super sub, jumps in here. And, of course, we've got the head coach interview with Lincoln Riley presented by I Trust Capital. Retire with Crypto. Coach, officially welcome. It's crazy. I was thinking about it. You basically started here as early as possible. I mean, it was right at the end of last season. So you have had one long USC offseason, and now finally we get a USC season out of you. And you had your first camp. How was it? How was, we call it fall camp, but it's really a summer.
It was good. Yeah, like you said, it has been a long off season. We need it every single day, and I think we used them all. Yeah, we're obviously excited to be here at this point. I think the camp was really well done by the players. It was a very physical, very demanding camp. We've had to pull off a little bit here as of late to get their bodies back, to get their legs underneath them going into game week. But very proud of the way we handled it. We really kind of picked up where we left off spring. We really went at it every day. We rotated a lot of guys. We got a chance to look at more bodies. We clearly have added a lot of depth, whether through recruiting and guys coming in. But then we had several guys that were limited from an injury standpoint, coming off surgeries and what have it. To now you get a more full roster in fall camp, and so the competitiveness was better. The quality of football was better, and now we're kind of at that point where Sean knows this is the longest week of the year. Like you're ready. Yeah, you were ready. We were ready. Like we went out to the Collie last Friday and did a little kind of game day walkthrough simulation there. Like we were ready to play then. Like they cannot get here soon enough.
Yeah, tired of hitting each other.
Yes.
Coaches are tired against coaching each other. I'm sure everyone's at their wits' end with that. Coach, you've had a long time with these guys now, kind of get your hand around all the players on the team. What have you learned the most about this group, and what do you kind of expect to see or hope to see, I guess, on Saturday?
Yes, Saturday will be so interesting. I mean, there's so much new. And obviously we've talked about kind of the unprecedented way that this current roster was built. I've loved how they've responded to the challenges that we've continually put in front of them. I mean, we've challenged these guys every day, and we've challenged them in a lot of different ways, and they continue to respond. And we're going to have to continue to improve as the season goes on. There's no question about that. You always do. But I'm excited about what I've seen on the field. I'm excited about the way they've come together, the way they interact with each other, compete with each other. Our practices have been extremely competitive, but we don't have a lot of fights. We don't have a lot of guys that, kind of crossing that line. There seems to be a good respect among a high competitive environment, and I think that's always a great thing. So certainly excited to see how much we'll trust all of that on Saturday. All the new, the coaching, the schemes, the fundamentals, each other, the mentality. As you get out there in that arena, and it feels a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so if we can continue to do what we've done in the weeks leading up and trust it, then it'll be a fun Saturday.
Obviously, the preseason is known for intensity, but you've talked about how the intensity has to continue in practice during the week in order for results that you want to show up on Saturday. How does that work? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's a build up for us into the middle of the week. Monday we're competitive, but we're not too long on the field. Tuesday and Wednesday, I mean, is a game to us. I mean, that's just we're gonna hit. We're gonna tackle. We're gonna play very physical on both sides. We're gonna have a lot of competitive periods. We're gonna do some scout team work, but we're always gonna get in a lot of good on good work during those days. I think you have to have it. And then Thursday and Friday we start to back off, and it becomes a little bit more mental. So the key for us is you don't save up for the game. You're doing everything you can to get your body ready to practice on Tuesday and get your body ready to practice on Wednesday. And then there's going to be a time where you let these bodies heal. You let them get their legs back underneath them. You continue the mental preparation, and you go get ready to let it all loose on Saturday.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live, presented by Monster Hydro. And, Coach, there's been so much talked about the transfers. You didn't have a big freshman class, but there's some really talented guys in there. I'm curious how those guys are shaking out now that you've seen all of them, and who, if anyone, can we expect to make an impact early on this season?
They've done well as a group, as you said. It's a small group, but it is very talented. And it's been good to get a few of those guys healthy. You had guys like Damani and C.J. Williams, a few guys that were here spring, but obviously were limited, so we weren't able to see them as much as we had hoped to. Those guys have all had really strong camps. I mean, I would say C.J. Williams, Raleek Brown, Damani, are the kind of the first names off the top of my head in terms of guys that you think are, going to have an opportunity to have an impact here right off the top. I've been very, very impressed with the way those guys have played. And again, the rest of the class coming along. I mean, we're going to need more of those freshmen to contribute as you go. And that's what a lot of times happens is you get a freshman and maybe fall camp, he shows some flashes, he's not ready. You continue to work him, you continue to grind, he stays at it. He stays motivated. We continue to push him. He's improving. He's doing developmental lift every week. And all of a sudden you look up week 6 or 7 and that guy's ready to contribute and he's ready to play. He's ready to go play a snap on defense. He's ready to go play some snaps on special teams. And so many guys throughout our history have taken off that way. And we'll need that. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs, and you have to have part of your roster that maybe won't get the opportunity to contribute the early Saturdays of the season that you're going to need to contribute on Saturdays down the line. And so we got to do a great job developing them, and those guys got to continue to respond and continue to improve.
Yeah, Coach, I was definitely one of those freshmen who was maybe thrown to the wolves a little early before I was ready. And I remember that process of kind of as the season got along and how the game slowed down and you start picking it up. So I can definitely put myself in those shoes of those young freshmen. But Coach, as you get closer to this thing, how locked in are you on the starters? Is this a game week where you guys you kind of know your guys who are going to be in there, and there are a few missing pieces? Or are you pretty locked in to see who's going to be the starters running out of that tunnel for snap one?
Well, we've got some guys that we know right now are going to start, and are going to play a good amount of the game. We do certainly still have some position battles going on right now that, depending on how they practice this week, maybe this guy starts over this guy, or maybe this guy's a 2 and this guy's a 3. So I would say that we still have a few key position battles that need to have a great week of practice, and we feel like we feel like we've got 2 starters there, and we got to make a tough call here at the end of the week.
So you're making my job difficult. I got to know every single guy now. My chart's got to be full all the way down. Yeah. I got to be right. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, we're going to make sure you're in mid-season form, Sean. Yeah.
Given the long offseason we talked about for you, what would you say is the biggest point of growth that either the team or the program has seen since you first came here?
I think it remains to be seen. I mean, This is where you get tested, right? Like find one coach that doesn't feel good about spring ball that said, "Oh, we had a terrible spring." Nobody says that. Yeah. Who said, "Oh, but our fall camp was awful. We don't got a chance." No, you know what I mean. Nobody says this is what I love about football season is all the talk's over. Like eventually you got to play football at some point. And for years and years, we've always believed that people can do all the talking in the off season. They can do all they want. People can say all they want. Eventually, you're going to have to play. And there's some people that look forward to it, and some programs that maybe like to talk more than they like the action of it. So for us, I want us to be a group that's about action. And I know there's been a lot of buildup. I know there's a lot of excitement, and there should be. There's nobody more excited to play that can wait more for Saturday than everybody within our program. But we're going to get our chances. We get our chances to go show what we've done and where we've improved and where we think we can be good, and we've got to rise to the occasion.
Looking at your quarterback room, Coach, you spoke glowingly about Miller Moss. You feel very comfortable with him, but Caleb gets the ball on Saturday, and there's been a lot of talk around him, his anticipation of him at USC. He's obviously this groundbreaking NIL athlete, but just as a football player, as he approaches his sophomore season, how's his mentality been in camp? What have your conversations been like with him as he takes what most coaches say is that biggest step from your freshman to your sophomore year, where you really want to see development and growth?
Yeah, I mean Caleb's a very coachable kid. I mean he wants to get better. He knows that his ceiling is still well out there, and something that he's very, very aware of. And he's not some guys play well or have what's perceived as a lot of success, and then all of a sudden they don't want to be coached quite as much. And I've never had any indication of that from him, which is important. And then I think the room was good for him. I mean, I think Miller came in and learned it quick and really competed, and was playing at a very high level throughout camp. And that's always a great thing when you've got competition and guys pushing each other, so it's been a healthy room. It has. I'm excited about the room. I'm excited about some of the depth that we've developed with all the obvious turnover that happened, and we've got several guys in there that we feel good about and ready to play them.
Coach, defensively, we have to talk about last year. It was rough to watch. As a former defender here at USC, it was a tough season. You saw guys turning down some stuff, and games got out of hand. And what have you learned about the defense under Alex Grinch? And I know there's a ton of new guys coming in, a new chemistry with this group. What have you learned this offseason with them, and how can he get this group, maybe some scarred guys who need to turn some seasons around to get playing in the right direction?
We'll scrap. There's no question about it. I've seen a group that's very hungry to improve. And listen, I got a lot of confidence because I watched this whole scenario unfold, from 2018 to 2019 at the previous spot.
Yep.
And, I watched the defense that had lost some confidence and wasn't playing with the same edge and all, you name it. And then all of a sudden, we flip around, and the next year the defense is the strength of our football team, and the strength of a team that won a league and went to a playoff. And so we've got the right people there. We've added some great pieces. I would say when we're talking about the mentality of the way we want to play, it's been less offense of this, less defense of this, less special teams, and basically, like, if you play at USC, this is the way you're expected to play.
Okay.
And that has been important for us to kind of have that team-wide mentality. But certainly defensively, listen, we know how it is. Throughout, it's just kind of the way football works. A lot of times offenses get a lot of the hype and attention. You win on defense.
Yep.
You cannot win consistently. You cannot compete and win championships if you're not a really darn good defensive football team. And so I like the makings that we have. I like the attitude that our guys play with. And once again, kind of like we said about the deal before, if we see on Saturday what we've been seeing on the practice field, I think there'll be a lot of excitement about the way defense is going to be played here going forward.
Yep. Saturday is against Rice, the season opener, Coliseum, 3 o'clock. Want to see everyone there. Pick up those remaining tickets at usctrojans.com. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Keeley, and the head coach, Lincoln Riley, getting you set for USC versus Rice. Saturday, it's a 3 p.m. kick at the Coliseum. 1 p.m. we'll go on with the Trojan Tailgate Show. It's this time of year. The opener's always hot. And I was just thinking, looking at your schedule for camp, you guys practice a lot under the sun. Was that just about conditioning or coincidental? But do you feel like you guys are in great shape going into what will be a hot opener on Saturday?
Yeah, no, it was definitely by design. We got a couple of practices under the lights just to do it, one in the Coliseum and a couple out here, but the rest of them, we're going to get great weather, obviously, to practice in the entire year. So, weren't too concerned about practicing in that. As much as we could expose them to the heat and practice in it, we wanted to. And we were fortunate. Several of the mornings, especially several of the mornings that we had in the Coliseum early in camp, it was we had some nice warm days. So players hate it and coaches love it. Yeah.
Yeah, Coach. When you look at your squad and the kind of the leaders on your team, how do you go about choosing your captains for your team? Is it kind of a team decision? Is it something you and the coaches get together? What is that process like?
We elect them. I think it's important that it comes from the players, and I think they know. And now I've always reserved the right that if we get a really close vote, then we may step in and give our opinion. But typically in teams and good teams, that I feel like they know.
Yeah.
Like you tend to look at it and it's like, all right, this ballot is it's not like it's split between 20 different players,
yeah.
Right? They kind of know who the bell cows are, and certainly I know we'll get ours announced, but we've our vote was very much like that.
Following up on that, in your mind, what are the characteristics of a captain of this team?
I think somebody that embraces everything that we're trying to do here, that understands. Obviously, you got to focus on the small things within the walls, right? The small details that get you there. But also, I think you walking into this situation, regardless of where you were last year, player, coach, you got to have an awareness about what we're trying to do and from the big picture a little bit too. This is an awareness of the opportunity, an awareness of how special of an opportunity this is. Stuff like this does not come around like at programs like this very often. And you gotta have guys, I think, that are ready and willing to embrace that, and I think that's so important. And so we've had a good group. We've tried to cultivate a lot of leaders on the group. We had some that are natural that you just know like day one, and we've had some that you can tell have the characteristics, but we've got to bring them along just like you got to as a player. And maybe we need him at some point this year as a leader. Maybe it's a guy that, year or 2 years or 3 years down the line becomes a team captain. But we're always trying to cultivate those leaders as well. But it's a good group. I mean, there was obviously a lot of guys that were very motivated to come here and very aware of, what they were getting themselves into, and some of those guys have become our best.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, ahead of his debut game on Saturday in the Coliseum. You've got an opponent. It's Rice. What do we know about him? Sean needs to get a little prep done here.
Good football team. Very competitive football team. Obviously, from part of the country that we've been in quite a bit. A lot of their coaching staff came over from Stanford a few years ago, and so some of the Trojan fans will recognize some of the things on both sides of the ball that you've historically seen out of the Stanford football teams. Offensively, very multiple. They can go from being in big personnel and getting under center and getting the ball downhill to spreading you out, getting it empty and trying to toss it around the yard. Defensively, it'll be one of the more experienced defenses that we play all year. They've got 9 returning starters, ton of returning starts. Defensive front and the secondary are both extremely experienced and very impressive on tape, especially the front. I mean, they definitely catch your eye. I mean, they are. I'll say this: there's several Power 5 fronts in the country that aren't as good as this group right here. It's a good group, so it'll be a challenge. And listen, they've played big opponents every year. They've been in big venues, so these guys, they're not going to be intimidated walking in here. It'll be a good competitive football game.
Thanks, Coach. Now I don't need to do my homework. I'm all ready for the game on Saturday. Coach, we had the Boulevard had their rollout this week, and what that brings with the NIL. What are you hoping that segment of the college environment brings to your team and what they kind of create?
Well, I just want to take advantage of all the great opportunities that we have here, and the best thing that we could ever do is try to get it under one roof, because we want our guys to be able to capitalize. We want our guys to be able to do well in the NIL space, but we also want to protect our university's reputation. We also want to do things with compliance. We also want to arm and educate our guys and give them the resources like representation and like have accounting and all the taxes and all the things that we all know are a part of that. And that's what Boulevard does. It really kind of puts all the other pieces together so that these guys can do well, but also avoid some of the pitfalls that we know comes with it. So, we're hopeful. To me, the best programs, you find a way to unite, right? The team finds a way to unite, the staff finds a way to unite, administration, the whole school, the student body, supporters. Anytime you've got programs, you look at some of those great ones out there, the ones that maybe should be great that maybe aren't, a lot of times you see it kind of splintered off in a bunch of different directions. And so I think very key, just as it's key for us in the locker room to unite and come together and kind of get our full power going in one direction, I think it'll be just as important for the outside, because I know we got a lot of people that want to support our players. Yep.
As you mentioned, a lot of talk over the offseason. What are you hoping to show USC fans come Saturday?
I just can't wait to play. I mean, to be honest, I think they're going to see a team that loves to play the game and loves to play the game with each other. I want them to see a team that plays hard as hell, plays physical as hell, and a team that's embracing the opportunity to come do it here. So, like I said, I'm not big on a bunch of predictions and talking and all that. Our talk will be at Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Let's go.
All right, you get your chance to play Saturday at 3 o'clock. Thanks for the final promo. We'll go on at 1 o'clock with the Trojan Tailgate Show. Welcome to the Lincoln Riley era. Can't wait to see it play out on the field at the Coliseum on Saturday. Then he'll be back here next Monday to talk about it on Trojans Live. One of the guys that will be joining him out of the tunnel is Jordan Addison. He's making his Trojans Live debut next on the USC Trojans Media Network.